Hi, I'm Jeff Moran. I want to welcome you to True Texas History, where today we are going to talk about the unsolved murder of John McMullen. Now, Texas has got its share of unsolved murders, and this is one that goes all the way back to 1853. For it was on this day, January 20th, 1853, that the landowner, John McMullen, and former impresario, was found dead in his home. Now, here are the facts that have been relayed to us. There was evidence that the assailant entered through the floor, gagged him, and then stabbed him in the neck. That's about all that, and then his personal trunks were open, his belongings were scattered about with paper. Now, some people suspect that he was killed for money, yet when the authorities arrived on the scene, there were still some silver coins in his possession. So that raises a question. Either they got the bulk of the loot and let things go, or that really wasn't the motive. And the house that he was killed in is now where the public library stands in San Antonio. And in fact, there are some reports that John McMullen's ghost still walks the halls of the library as he searches for his killer. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it does make for an interesting story. Now, John McMullen, as a former impresario, had collected quite a few acres of land. At the point, he owned 18,892 acres of Texas, and he had been highly involved with the McGloin land grant down there near Corpus Christi. He had also worked actively with some of the other European impresarios, including Prince Solon and Henri Castro, in terms of getting settlers to Texas and working on land deals. We forget that those impresarios often knew each other, and they worked together, collaborated. Now, getting back to the murder, according to oral tradition, some people say that his adopted son was the murderer. Problem is, the son was never legally adopted. See, John had married his wife Esther, and Esther had two daughters which she brought with her into the household, and they became a family. Now, at times, Esther and John had taken in 3 other children. Never adopted them, but took care of them. And the suspicion is that one of them may have killed him. Although in some of the historic documents, they have that child as having died in 1852. Since I don't have the actual historic documents in front of me, I'm not sure whether or not that child died or whether that child was a suspect. What I do know is stabbing someone in the throat like that after having choked them, that is probably someone who was a little more amateurish in terms of dealing with the killing, as opposed to a professional or a hired killer. Now, earlier that day, one of his nearby neighbors had commented that there was a hole in the house, in the back wall. And she said somebody could get in and hurt him. And there's also the suspicious effort that his brothers that were located on the East Coast had sent him a letter warning him of some possible dangers that might befall him where he lived in San Antonio. Curious findings. Now, the McMullen papers back in 2017 were put up for auction at Sotheby's and sold, but the mystery remains. What happened to this prominent impresario, and why was he killed? because the suspected adopted son was not even listed as a recipient of any of the estate, so he did not stand to gain anything. But perhaps maybe that's why he's gone through the papers. I don't know. But that happened on this day, January 20th, back in 1853 in San Antonio, Texas. It's one of those little corners of history that we often don't cover. But Texas had some strange murders, and this was one of them. If you have any thoughts on it, feel free to leave your comments below. If you're one of those that like to research murders and try to find out the answer for yourself, this is a good one to try out. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you via con Dios, my friends. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions for future videos. I'll be glad to get to them. Goodbye.